because I have a lot of patients now who were so afraid to be outside of their comfort zone. And so for them, it's like, even though I don't know what is on the other side, I feel better just sitting right here. But your dreams are on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those thoughts and things that your ambition, all things that you have talked about that you want to actually experience, it's on the other side, right? And how would you feel if 5 years now you are not able to experience that? Would you be okay with that, right? Would you
Mm-hmm.
be okay if I'm in the same space I am in now, 3 or 4 years from now? Would you be content with yourself?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Legacy Speaks. My name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and wellness coach. You already know what time it is. We are going to have another amazing conversation with another dope therapist, and her name is the wonderful Tedrina Aitkins, and she's a licensed clinical social worker. So we're going to dive into a number of different topics within relation to supporting Black women or just people in general as they get to explore their life transitions and get to explore who they are as a person. But before you dive right in, I need you to hit that subscription button below. That way you can stay up to date on newly released content on a regular basis. So we're going to introduce our wonderful guest, Tedrina. Tedrina, thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Sierra. I am just honored just to be able to share this space with you today and
Oh,
being able to just connect with other people who might be going through some life transitions or just struggling to figure out who they are, and for us to be able to help them navigate that.
yes, ma'am. So we are going to dive right into it. So, Tadrina, can we talk a little bit about what it looks like to develop self-worth, right? So when I talk to clients, I remind them that there are the three selves. You have self-esteem, self-efficacy, as well as self-image. So self-image is the way that we see ourselves, the way we show up in these spaces. Self-efficacy is the way that we view our gifts, talents, and capabilities. And then after that, you have self-esteem, which is the way that we feel about ourselves. But we don't really talk about self-worth, right? And so how do you help a client define that or even explore that?
Okay. And so that is such a great question, because a lot of times people don't know what self-worth is, right? What does that look like for me? And so how we just kind of figure what that is for them is that, how do you feel about yourself, right? If you are able to sit with yourself and your emotions, what does that look like for you? And a lot of times they don't. A lot of times people don't even have the time or the space to be able to sit with just their emotion, or sit in quiet or in just in solitude to be able to figure out what is it that they need. And so defining self-worth is like, what is one thing that brings you some level of joy or peace, right?
Mm,
And them being able to say, well, I don't really know what that is, right? And so then we start navigating, okay, when's the last time you felt that, or
mm,
felt that you were centered or just grounded in everything that you wanted to be? And a lot of times it's been years that they have actually even sat with wondering, what is it that they need, or what is my self-worth? What is it that I deserve? Nobody, they don't know that. And so giving them that space to be able to say, okay, we're going to process this, right? How long has it been since you actually recognized that? And being able to go through those processes with them, and for them to be able to say, wait, I got it. Like I deserve that. And I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure that I receive that.
oh, that is so powerful. What does that feel like? And how can you even like sit in that, so to speak? Because I know sometimes when we're doing self exploration, it kind of gets uncomfortable. We start peeling back the layers and revealing some of these things that we don't necessarily understand. And let's kind of dive back into like you and your career, right? Can you let the people know a little bit more about you, how you got into the profession, as well as the name of your practice?
Okay. So again, my name is Tedrina Aitkins. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I am licensed in District of Columbia as well as Maryland. And I have been doing private practice. I have my own private practice, which is called Reveal Your Truth. And our slogan is, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And I am originally from Liberia, West Africa. And when I was coming here, as we were transitioning here, we had some people that would help us. And as when I came to America, I didn't know who those people were, but there were people that really made a difference in my life as I was growing up. And I kept asking, like, who were those people? Because the way they made me feel just comfortable. And even though I was a refugee and an immigrant child, they made me feel that I mattered and I was seen.
Mm,
And so as I got older, I realized that those were social workers. Those were case managers that were there to navigate or just support us as we were transitioning from a war-torn country. And when I came here, that was what I picked up. And when I went to undergrad at Bowie State University, I just said, let me take a class in social work and see what that is. When I took it, I fell in love. And that was all she wrote. And I feel like it is more not, it's not even a job. It is my ministry. This is my passion. And just to be able to serve and be able to be in these spaces with people and support them as they find what their self-worth is, right? And being able to kind of cope or manage some of their emotions and feelings and be able to tap in to what they're worth and just being the best that they can be has been just monumental for me. And so I can do this without pay and still be content with that. And so that is what I am in my private practice. We've actually been available, been around for 2 years now. And so it has been exciting. We're currently not accepting new patients. And so we have a very extensive wait list, and we are actually opening up to become a group practice where we're hiring some additional clinicians so that we'll be able to support Washington, D.C. and Maryland.
Oh, absolutely love it. Thank you so much for taking your personal experience and leaning into it and then having that become your calling. I think that's so amazing. You think even when we're talking about self-worth is understanding that our self-worth is rooted in the things that come natural to us, the things that really give us purpose and that whole existentialist piece of it all. And oftentimes when we find ourselves in transitions, we have a tendency of either feeling like we're losing pieces of ourselves, but also simultaneously gaining different parts of ourselves as well. And so how do you help clients navigate that transition of shedding off the layers where as well as like putting on something new as well?
That is the difficult part. I always tell my clients that it might feel more uncomfortable than comfortable when it starts off, right? Like this is going to be some hard work, but this is necessary work. And when you're able to phrase that, I want to see what that looks like. Like the space that I've been in has not been comfortable. The space that I've been in, I have not felt some sense of peace or just worth. I want to see what that other stuff feels like. I want to be happy. I want to be able to say that I know who I am as a person without all my different titles. And so giving them that perspective, like what is it that you want to see for yourself, right? If we are in therapy for 6 months or working together for 6 months, what is that end goal? What does that look like for you? And when they're able to say, well, I want to feel like this, these are the symptoms that I'm experiencing and I don't like it. I don't like that I'm not happy. I don't like that I am erratic or just irritable, but I'm also struggling with so much trauma that I have to let that go, right? I'm afraid to even open up that can, but once I do, I'm able to get to that next step. And so allowing them that space to be where they are, but also asking them, what is it that you want more? What is it? What more do you want to see for yourself? And it is a safe space for them to say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to take that next step, right? And allowing them that sense of autonomy, but also giving that space to be open to what it is that they need in that moment.
Yes, there are a number of things that really stood out to me. One, like you mentioned, that safe space, so that non-judgmental space to be able to sit there and say, hey, this is what I don't want to feel like. I may not have the necessary language right now, but here's what I can start off with. And let's take some baby steps. So meeting the client where we're at. I think oftentimes a lot of individuals, especially with us coming from backgrounds of like the Black diaspora, sometimes we can look at clinicians as being like law or being the person that's going to give us answers. And I always remind clients, I'm like, no,
this is your life. I need you. Let's bring it back. That this is your walk, right? I might be here with you, but in the day, this is your life, and you get to make that final decision. I said, what is it that I need for myself?
And it's so empowering. It really is, because you're encouraging them and you're also modeling what it looks like to make active decisions, even when they don't trust themselves, right? So even as we're transitioning from whether it's like state to state, country to country, job to job, sometimes there's a level of uncertainty there because this is new territory. This is the unfamiliar. And sometimes we have a tendency of clinging on to what's familiar to us, even though it could be a detriment to us. And so how do you help clients navigate letting go of what could potentially be their downfall or the killer of their dreams?
Recognizing that where they are. That is the first step, I would say, is that because I have a lot of patients now who were so afraid to be outside of their comfort zone. And so for them, it's like, even though I don't know what is on the other side, I feel better just sitting right here. But your dreams are on the other side, right? Those thoughts and things that your ambition, all things that you have talked about that you want to actually experience, it's on the other side, right? And how would you feel if 5 years now you are not able to experience that? Would you be okay with that, right? Would you be okay if I'm in the same space I am in now, 3 or 4 years from now? Would you be content with yourself? And then that's time for you to process that. Or also, I always use this where, what would you say to that little girl? What would you say to that little girl now that you are an adult? And what does that look like? What does that feel like to you, right? Would you say that you are proud? Would you say that she is seen? or would you say that she's still not enough? Where
Yeah.
do you see yourself?
Definitely. It's so funny because today I posted something about like become the person that you needed when you needed
Yeah,
it. I think
absolutely.
oftentimes we get so caught up in the fact that we didn't have role models or we didn't have
Mhm.
somebody to look towards. But all we really need to look at is what we didn't have and create a list and figure out how do we become that? How do I
Yeah.
actively embody what I needed when I needed it? And how can I turn around and utilize that to propel me into becoming the person that I need for my
Mhm.
tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's so important.
Mhm.
Yeah. So even then, when we're talking about exploring our self-worth and dealing with the newness of it all, right? How do we normalize the new information that comes? What I find with transitions is oftentimes we have to redefine our sense of normalcy
Mhm.
because what we were used to previously before, it doesn't necessarily mean that that it was previously chaotic, but it doesn't work in this new season of our lives. So how do we normalize what's new?
The first thing is that when you recognize that you are shifting or you're in a transition, right? Recognizing that some people are not going to like it. First of all, that you are going to get some pushback. You're going to get some people like, I don't know who this person is. Especially as you are recognizing what's new, you're also building boundaries, right? You're putting up healthy boundaries. What is it that you need? Because at this time, you're being somewhat selfish. I need to put myself first right now. As I'm transitioning, as I'm figuring it out, I have to figure out what is best for me. And that is an uncomfortable space, but also necessary. So as we're in that space, we look at the people around us, we look at our relationships, and are those people going to still be there? Because a lot of times as we're shifting, some people that are there will not always be there. They're not going to be on that journey with us. And so looking at everything that matters to me at this time and recognizing that, what is it that I want to see for myself in this transition or in this move? What does that look like? And being able to take that walk, even when it's uncomfortable, step by step, one step at a time, and not rushing, because again, it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to do it even scared. I'm going to do it even if I'm terrified. I'm going to make that move because I want what is best at the ultimate end for me.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. Not rushing the process,
Yeah.
enjoying the journey. Like I
Hmm.
always encourage clients to look at life like a road trip, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes we got to pull over to get gas. Sometimes we have to pull over to get bathroom breaks. Sometimes, if you don't have AAA, you're going to have to wait until somebody changes your tire. But we stop, but we don't just cancel the trip altogether. We learn how to continue to keep going. So
Yeah.
thank you for like reinforcing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's so interesting. When I always think about dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, and they talk about de-stressing techniques. And
Yeah.
one of the things is that when we're in a space where it's uncomfortable, right, we are still able to use some of these techniques. One of it is just to stop, to take a break, right? And just really to reassess and figure out what is going on around me and what are my next steps before I even get to that next road or that next season. I need to be able to assess where I am now. And so we're able to use a lot of different techniques, even in our real life, right? Even though sometimes it sounds real cliche. It's like, okay, well, this is not going to work with these coping skills. But when we are able to utilize it in our own life, it is so beneficial. And so little steps like that, right? We're able to say, okay, I'm able to self-assess. I'm able to take a step back. I'm able to make a plan or an agenda, and then I'm able to go forth.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yep. That stop skill is so key. For
Yep.
anybody who doesn't know what the stop skill is, S stands for stopping immediately, just not doing anything
Hmm.
altogether. T,
Yep.
taking a deep breath and then also taking in the information that you need. Then O, you're just like overlooking all of that data, so to speak,
Hmm.
and seeing what can you process. And then that P is proceeding mindfully. So after you have looked at that data and seeing how that shows up in the body, how that impacts you,
Hmm.
make sure that you actively choose a decision that works best for you
Yeah,
during this time. That is
absolutely.
so, 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 so key. And even then, I was thinking about how, even when we're looking into like our self worth, or even in these transitions,
Hmm.
like considering your wants, your needs, as well as your rights. So, your wants are things that are immediate. They're going to change over time. Your needs, these are non-negotiable. So what do you need not only from yourself, but the environments and the relationships that
Hmm.
you're in? And then your rights, these are God-given rights. These are human rights, and these are non-negotiables. These are
Hmm.
centered and rooted into your core values. And I think
Absolutely.
a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves because it's like as you're evolving and
Mhm.
changing, your palette changes as
Yeah.
well based
Hmm.
upon your exposure. And so, can you talk about that? Making peace with the fact that your wants and your needs are going to change over time.
talking with that with my patient, I always think about it with my clients, patients, however you want to refer, right? And I also say these are people that we're working together. Sometimes I don't even call them patients or clients. I say that we are this is our journey together. Like this is my road trip partner, right? And they're
Yeah.
able to say, okay, well, they don't feel so secluded because they feel like I'm there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that just talking about that, right? Being able to say that when you are moving or transitioning, not everybody's going to go with you, right? So we're going to talk about that. The thing that the people around me or the things that I used to enjoy may not be as enjoyable, or the spaces where people used to depend on you might be a little bit different now. And so how are we putting ourselves first in this process as we are on this journey? And so talking about just what is it that they need in this moment, right? What is the most important thing? If they say I'm putting myself first in this moment, okay, what does that look like? Taking actionable steps and those things and having a goal. What's my ultimate goal in mind for myself, and recognizing what that looks like for them, because everybody is different, and understanding every transition is going to need a different part of you, right? It's going to be a growth, but it's also what does that look like in this new space? Sometimes we don't even know what to expect, but I'm still going to walk in that space because I know that this is uncomfortable already.
Yes. Y'all, did y'all hear that? She said every transition is going to require a different part of you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so important because there's probably somebody who's out there listening to this, and for so long they've compartmentalized different aspects of
Yeah.
themselves, not recognizing that at some point they're going to
Mm-hmm.
have to reach in the back seat or pull out whatever version of themselves or aspect of themselves out of the trunk. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to need that part
Yeah.
of you along this road trip in order to freaking survive. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, just learning to make peace with that, learning to do that shadow work, learning to accept all components of yourself.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes we like to distance ourselves from our traumatic experiences and things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. Yes, heal from that, but also understand that, like, the resiliency that you got as a result of that, that's important. Everything comes together. Like the scripture says, all things work together for the good of those who love
Yeah.
God and are
Uh-huh.
called according to his
Powerful.
purpose.
Absolutely. Yes. Uh-huh.
So please,
Yeah.
like, just make peace with that. Like, it's all gonna work out.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
yeah.
so I always say that we think about anxiety is things that we are looking forward to, right? Things that we already can't control, but it's things in the future. And so that's what makes us anxious, because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm unsure. And then we think about depression. Depression is that I'm still holding on to that past hurt. I'm still holding to that past trauma. Instead of neither one of those is not living in the present. Not being able to say, I am here and I'm looking forward to being that best person. But while I'm in this space, that I'm going to work on me and not worry about the left, not worry about the right, but just worry about the right now. And
Yes.
so doing that, because when we sit in those spaces where 8 months from now, I don't know what's going to happen, you don't, but you worrying about it's not going to change it either.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Learn to master the here and now.
Yeah.
That's so important. I think in the here and now, that's when we learn discipline. That's when we
Mm-hmm.
learn a greater sense of self. That's when we learn how to prepare for the next
Absolutely.
transition. That is so key. That's it. In the here and now, this is where you learn how to reveal your truth.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Let's go. That's a good plug.
So, Tedrina, can you please let the people know a little bit more about your practice and the things that you have going on?
Okay, so right now we have something that we've just added, which is called Tea Talks. So once a month on a Thursday, 8 p.m. on Instagram and Facebook, we get together and we have uncomfortable conversations, right? About anything about mental health, right? And mental health matters so much to me. That is also my passion. So my concentration in my master's was mental health at Howard University. So I am a bison. I just want to make sure that we are aware. But so one of the things that we always talk about is what does that look like, right? When we think about how important it is to have these uncomfortable conversations. So I'm having it with longtime friends. I'm having it with different clinicians where we're connecting with together and just talking about the spaces that our people are in, right? We talk about people of color, we talk about minorities, and we talk about just people who are just hurting. And then we talk about whether if it's love, whether if it's anxiety, depression. This is a safe space for you to have that conversation without feeling judged, but being so comfortable, but being uncomfortable at the same time. So we chat it up. That's all it is. You come and we just have a conversation, because one of my strengths, I always say, or my God-given gift, was just being able to make people feel comfortable, right? Building that rapport with you, because I'm no different, you're no different, right? We all have our struggles, we all have our stuff, but being able to be authentic in that journey and be able to say, I have that, but I also want to be better. Like, I want to be able to see myself for everything that I am and the changes I need to make. And so that's something that we have incorporated, where we're able to have those uncomfortable conversations. We're able to talk and just chat it up once a month, every Thursday, as well as I provide supervision and consultation for anybody who is a social worker or anybody who is looking to become a social worker or in the helping profession. And so I am a licensed supervisor for the state of Maryland as well. And so I provide consulting work as well as supervision for those. And we provide individual therapy as well as group therapy within our practice.
That is so amazing. So y'all, please make sure that you're tapping into Tedrina Aitkins and everything. Can you let the people know where they can find you and where they can connect with you?
Okay, and so we are on Instagram, and is at Reveal Your Truth. That is how you can find us online. That's where we're located. We have our website at revealyourtruth.org. You can also find us there. You can set up consultations and any kind of appointment for supervision or any kind of consultations for one-on-one outside of seeking therapy or group therapy. And so that is how you can find us. We're on Facebook as well, and that's all the platforms we are on right now.
Awesome sauce, no worries. And so y'all make sure that y'all tap in. If you've heard anything on this particular episode that you thoroughly enjoyed, any bar, please make sure that you are dropping it underneath these episodes, whether it's on our YouTube channel or maybe even leave a comment for the Legacy Speaks podcast. But before we wrap up, Tedrina, there's a conversation that I always have with the clinicians that I host. Okay. As you know, the podcast is called the Legacy Speaks podcast. Absolutely. And so when it comes to your legacy, what would you like your legacy to say about you?
Legacy means so much, right? When people think like, I want to leave a legacy for my children, I want to leave a legacy for anything. My legacy is for people to understand that you treat everybody the way you want to be treated and love people just the way that you would want to be loved. That no matter what they look like or what it is, for you to be authentic about who you are and be able to walk in your truth. And so that is the legacy I want to leave for anyone who just struggles to find who they are, right? Be able to walk in your truth and say, what is it that I need in this space? So that is the legacy that I want to leave.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Once again, y'all, please make sure that you tap into the wonderful Tedrina Aitkins at Reveal Your Truth on all the platforms, Instagram, as well as on the website as well. Once again, my name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and wellness coach. If you love this episode, please make sure that you leave a review. Also, make sure that you share this episode with all of your network and these particular platforms. We greatly appreciate the time that you took to make it all the way to the end of this particular episode. You can stay in touch at Legacy SBKS on everything. You can also check out the website at legacysbks.com. Tedrina, thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Thank you.